Hello, and welcome to the turbulent world with me, James M. Dorsey, as your host. A stickler for language, Israeli Prime Minister Binyamin Netanyahu twice this month remained conspicuously silent when senior Trump administration officials chose words that signaled potential changes in U.S. policy towards Gaza, the Palestinians, and Hamas. Mr. Netanyahu may not want to awaken sleeping dogs by reading publicly too much into recent statements by Steve Witkoff, President Donald Trump's Middle East envoy, and Adam Berler, the president's hostage negotiator. Earlier this month, Mr. Berler set off alarm bells by speaking to Hamas directly, the first ever face to face encounter between a U.S. official and the group designated a terrorist organization by the United States. Mr. Netanyahu also seeks to avoid suggestions that the U.S. and Israeli policies may diverge. Even so, Mr. Netanyahu cannot ignore the fact that Messrs. Witkoff and Berler's remarks signaled that the Trump administration might soften its attitude towards Hamas if the group releases the remaining 59 hostages it holds since its October 7, 2023 attack on Israel, disarms, and agrees not to be part of Gaza's post-war administration. With some 1,200 people, mostly civilians, killed in the October 7 attack, that's a no-go as far as Mr. Netanyahu is concerned. He insists there is nothing to talk about except for the release of the hostages and the destruction of Hamas, which in his mind can only be achieved militarily. Mr. Netanyahu's assertions are not borne out by 17 months of war, even if Israel has substantially weakened Hamas at significant cost to Gaza's population. The majority of the 251 people Hamas and other Palestinians kidnapped in the attack have been released in negotiated prisoner exchanges with Israel, rather than as a result of Israeli military action. Similarly, Hamas demonstrated in recent days that Israel's devastation of Gaza has not deprived the group of its ability to fire rockets at Israeli cities. Moreover, Hamas will likely wage a guerrilla war against Israel if Israel reoccupies Gaza and takes responsibility for administering the strip. A careful reading of Mr. Witkoff's 90-minute interview with Tucker Carlson, an influential far-right podcaster who has platformed Holocaust deniers and critics of Israel, suggests Israel and the United States could find themselves on opposite sides of the Israeli-Palestinian issue. Like Mr. Berler, Mr. Witkoff argued that he needs to understand all parties in order to do his job. I've never really been in the same room as Hamas, which is a little bit weird, wouldn't you say? Like a negotiation where you don't have the other party. You don't even know if the guy behind the wall is the Wizard of Oz, Mr. Witkoff said. In contrast to Mr. Netanyahu, Mr. Witkoff concluded, after more than 2 months of indirect negotiations with Hamas, that the group was not ideologically intractable. He seemed to imply that he may be able to do business with the group. Based on U.S. intelligence reports and the rhythm and the cadence of the negotiation, Mr. Witkoff concluded that Hamas leaders were not hell-bent on death and destruction. Once you understand that Hamas wanted to live, then you were able to talk to them in a more effective way. That's when I came to the conclusion that they wanted alternatives, Mr. Witkoff said. The envoy added, I don't think anyone has a feeling that you can just kill off Hamas. It's an idea, but we just can't have an October 7 ever again. October 7 was like 9/11 in the United States. Earlier, Mr. Berler said, after he met with Hamas, that he was trying to identify with the human elements of those people and then build from there. He argued that the most productive approach is to realize that every piece of a person is a human. Mr. Witkoff signed off on Mr. Berler's meetings with Hamas. Even so, Mr. Netanyahu was careful not to publicly criticize Messrs. Trump and Witkoff for allowing Mr. Berler to meet with Hamas. Tellingly, Mr. Trump reportedly removed Mr. Berler from the hostage negotiations with Hamas, but did not fire him. Mr. Berler's removal is unlikely to reassure Mr. Netanyahu, who views Hamas as terrorists, murderers, and rapists who need to be hunted down and killed. Hamas this weekend acknowledged that Israel had killed a member of its political bureau, Salah al-Bardawil, in an airstrike in the Gazan city of Khan Yunis. Earlier this week, Israel said it had killed two senior Hamas security operatives, Rashid Jajuh and Amin Eslaya. Israel has killed numerous Hamas officials since the Gaza war erupted, including its leader, Yahya Sinwar, its military commander, Mohammed Deif, and Ismail Haniyeh, its chief negotiator and head of the political bureau. Mr. Witkoff made clear in the interview that he rejected Hamas's return to rule Gaza, even if he had a more layered understanding of the group. What's acceptable to us is they need to demilitarize. Then maybe they could stay there a little bit, be involved politically, but they can't be involved militarily. We can't have a terrorist organization running Gaza, because that won't be acceptable to Israel, Mr. Witkoff said, seemingly parting ways with Mr. Netanyahu. Determined to defend Qatar against assertions that it was in bed with Hamas, Mr. Witkoff seemed to advise Mr. Netanyahu to drop his long-standing attempts to undermine the Gulf states' role as a mediator. Mr. Witkoff said he could avoid engaging with Hamas directly because he trusted Qatar as his go-between. If I didn't trust the Qataris, then that would really be problematic. Not meeting with Hamas, Mr. Witkoff said. Mr. Netanyahu and his surrogates have in recent weeks stepped up their targeting of Qatar, despite the Prime Minister's convoluted relationship with the Gulf state. The Prime Minister's campaign is as much an effort to undermine the Gulf state's status as a Gaza mediator as it is to prevent Mr. Netanyahu from being held accountable for his years-long soliciting of Qatari funding for Hamas to keep the Palestinian polity divided between the Gaza-based group and the West Bank-based internationally recognized Palestine Authority. Responding to Mr. Witkoff's interview, Doha-based Hamas official Hussam Badran insisted that the group would not disarm as long as the occupation exists, a reference to Israel's presence in Gaza and the West Bank. At the same time, Hamas officials have repeatedly said that the group did not need to be part of Gaza's post-war administration. Mr. Witkoff suggested that the resumption of Israel's assault on Gaza, in violation of the ceasefire agreement he negotiated in January, was a way of pressuring Hamas to make further concessions. The Israelis going into Gaza is in some respects unfortunate, and in some respects falls into the had-to-be bucket. We may be able to use this to get Hamas to be a whole lot more reasonable. Mr. Netanyahu is likely to take heart from the fact that Mr. Witkoff's greater understanding of Hamas has not persuaded the envoy that the group, like all Palestinian factions, rejects attempts to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict that offer the Palestinians an economic rather than a national future. Mr. Witkoff dismissed the notion of a two-state solution involving the creation of an independent Palestinian state alongside Israel as just a word. He went on to say that what two-state to me means is how do we have a better living prescription for Palestinians who are living in Gaza? It's not just about housing. Maybe it's about AI coming there. Maybe it's about hyperscale data centers being seeded into that area. Maybe it's about blockchain and robotics coming there. Maybe it's about pharmaceutical manufacturing coming there. We can't rebuild Gaza and it be based on a welfare system. We have to give people economic and financial prospects, Mr. Witkoff said. Mr. Witkoff seemed to skirt Mr. Trump's proposal to resettle Gaza's 2.3 million Palestinians elsewhere and turn the strip into a high-end beachfront real estate development. What we're going to do with Gaza is going to become much more apparent over the next 6 to 12 months, Mr. Witkoff said. Thank you for joining me today. Substack columns like The Turbulent World are essential reading in a world of sharply diminished coverage of international affairs by mainstream media. The Turbulent World can only sustain and expand its independent coverage, free of advertisements and clickbait, with the support of its readers. So please consider pledging your support by going to jamesmdorsey.substack.com and choosing one of the subscription options. Thank you for your support and loyalty. Take care and best wishes.